Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be here today. I'm doing my last springboard observation over at West Middle School this afternoon, so I won't be here for obviously this block and for AL. But I don't want you to fall behind on these factoring methods, and so I didn't just want to have this be kind of like a day off. So I know this isn't going to be the most ideal of situations to learn from this video, but I think it's better than nothing. And actually, this factoring method we're going to do. If you have Mr. Craw, you're going to do this tomorrow. If you have me, you're not going to see this till Friday. I actually rearranged my lessons a little bit. So these notes that we're going to do right now in my class, we're going to do on Friday in algebra. But if you have Mr. Craw, you're going to do these next time. Okay. You're going to need to pay attention because there are quite a few steps. So I'll try to go through pretty slowly, and then you'll have your chance to practice this method here. Okay. First of all, go ahead and skip where it says review, because that's actually the one that we're going to do next time. So we haven't really seen that yet. But I want to jump down to this right here. Okay, and one thing I told all my classes was, not only is it going to be important you know how to do these methods, these factoring methods, but it's important to know when to do them. Okay, and so we've talked about GCF and we've talked about grouping so far. And you just took a quiz over it. And when I look at this first one, it says factor. Okay, and so the first thing I would look for is there something I can pull out of every term? Is there a number that goes into 2, 9, and 10 evenly? And there's not, so I can't pull a number out. I also notice there's no letter behind the 10, so I can't pull any letters out either. Okay, so there is no GCF. The next thing I'd look for is, are there 4 terms so I can use grouping? There's not, there's only 3. So I can't use either of the methods we've done so far. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand. Now I notice that this is a quadratic trinomial. That's why I had you guys know those lists, 'cause it's important for this unit. It's a quadratic trinomial, because there's 3 terms. Okay, that's when we're going to do this next method. And again, I'll try to go through slowly, but it's important you're paying attention, because otherwise you're going to get lost here. Okay, when you have a quadratic trinomial, we always say the number in front of x squared is a. And we guys to write this too. The number in front of x squared is a. The number in front of x is b. And the number on the end is your c value, the constant. It always goes A, B, C. Okay, and that's important to understand for what I'm about to talk about next. So when I factor this, here's what I do. I'm going to multiply A and C together. So the 2 and the 10. When I factor these, I'm going to multiply the first number and the last number. And I get 20. And I want you to write that off to the side. Okay? So step 1, that's why it's called the AC method. We're going to multiply A and C together. And I get 20. This next part is crucial. Listen carefully. I need to find 2 numbers. I need to find a pair of numbers that when I multiply them, I get 20. I have to find 2 numbers that when I multiply them, I get 20. But at the same time, this is important, at the same time, when I add those 2 numbers together, they have to add up to this b value. They have to add up to 9. Let me say it again. I have to find a pair of numbers that when I multiply them, I get 20, and when I add them, I get 9. So try to think of numbers that multiply to be 20. There's 2 and 10, but those don't add up to 9. There's 4 and 5, so 4 and 5 is 20, and 4 plus 5 is 9. So there's my pair that I'm going to work with. Okay. So I multiplied A and C, got 20. Now I find 2 numbers that multiply to be 20 and add up to 9. I got 4 and 5. Here's what I do next. I'm going to take this middle term here, this 9x. This is the most important part of the problem. I'm going to take this 9x, and I'm going to rewrite this whole thing. I'm going to bring down the 2x squared, but instead of putting the 9x, I'm going to split it up into the 4x and the 5x, those 2 numbers I just found. So plus 4x, plus 5x, and then plus 10 on the end. So look what I did. I rewrote the 2x squared and the 10, but that 9x I split up into those 2 numbers I found off to the right. The whole point of this is so now I have 4 terms here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can use grouping. Okay, so now we do exactly what was on the quiz. Once you get to here, now you do what you know how to do. So I'm going to group the first 2 together and the second 2. That first group I could pull out a 2 and an x, and I'm left with x plus 2. Bring the plus down. I could pull a 5 out of the second group, and I'm left with x plus 2. And you should always end up with the same thing inside the parentheses. So my final answer, I'll put x plus 2 in one set and 2x plus 5 in the other set. So if I multiply those two things together, I will end up with what I started with. I know it seems like a longer process. That's why you're going to have to pay attention and write these notes down, okay, and make notes if you need to along the way. Let's look at example 2. There is no GCF. I can't take a number out of 6, 7, and 3, and I can't pull any letters out. So I noticed a quadratic trinomial, so I have to do the AC method. So I'm going to multiply 6 and negative 3 together. Your signs are important here. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, and I write that off to the side. Now I have to find two numbers that multiply to be negative 18. Negative 18. They multiply to be negative 18. And at the same time, they add up to positive 7. That's important. I have to find a pair of numbers that when I multiply them, I get negative 18. And when I add them together, I get 7. And so I'm just going to start listing out numbers that multiply to be negative 18. So I have negative 6 and 3. Well, that doesn't add up to 7. I have 6 and negative 3. That doesn't add up to 7. I have negative 9 and 2. But if I add those, I get negative 7. So that's not good enough. They have to add up to positive 7. So positive 9 and negative 2. There they are. If I multiply those together, I get negative 18. And if I add them, I get positive 7. So there's my pair of numbers I'm going to use. Okay. Next step, rewrite the polynomial. 6x squared. But instead of the 7x, I'm going to split it up into these numbers I found. So I'm going to put minus 2x plus 9x. And then bring the minus 3 on the end. So the only thing I change is that 7x becomes those two numbers I circled. Now I have 4 terms, so now I can group. So group 1, group 2. Pull out a 2 and an x from group 1. And then I'm left with 3x minus, well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Plus pull a 3 out of the second group. And I'm left with 3x minus 1. So my final answer, I'm going to have 3x minus 1 in one set and 2x plus 3 in the other set. It's a longer process, yes, but you're doing the same thing throughout every single one. It's the same steps that you're following. The hardest part, in my opinion, there's 2 hard parts, is finding that pair of numbers and then remembering once you find them to split up that middle term into those numbers. To me, those are the two places that people get hung up in these problems. Okay. I'll do these last 2 as well, and then I'll just have you guys practice, right? So I'm going to multiply A and C together, and I get 24. I have to find 2 numbers that multiply to be 24 and add up to negative 11. When I multiply them, I get 24, and when I add them, I get negative 11. So let's see. I have negative 6 and negative 4, but that's negative 10, so that doesn't work. Negative 2 and negative 12. That's negative 14. That doesn't work. Negative 3 and negative 8. If I multiply those, I get 24. And if I add them, I get negative 11. There they are. There's my numbers. So I'm going to rewrite this polynomial. But I'm going to split up that middle term into negative 3x, negative 8x. And then plus 6 on the end. So I'm just splitting up that middle term into those 2 numbers I found. Now I'm going to do grouping. The only thing to remember on this one, when there's a minus between your groups, you're going to flip that sign of the second group. I can't pull any numbers out of group 1, but I can pull an x out. So 4x minus 3. I can pull a 2 out of the second group. 4x minus 3. So now they have 4x minus 3 in common. And I have x minus 2 on the outside. All right, last one. So look ahead and try to think about what you would do instead of just waiting for me to do it and copy it down. Think about what you would do first. And we're going to multiply 2 and 7. Now think about what you have to find. You have to find 2 numbers that do 2 things. They multiply to be 14 and they add up to 9. So 7 and 2. Now I take the middle term and I split it up into 7x and 2x. So 2x squared plus 7x plus 2x plus 7. And now I do grouping. Pull an x out of group 1. I can't pull anything out of the second group, but you might, piece of advice, if you can't pull anything out, you might want to pull a 1 out. It doesn't change anything, but it helps you with your final answer. Because now I see there's an x plus 1 that I'll have to have in one of the parentheses. There it is. So like I said, in Mr. Cross class, you're going to do this tomorrow, or if you have him on Thursday, you'll do it on Thursday. In my class, we're going to do something different tomorrow. It's similar to this, but we'll do this on Friday. So I kind of flipped the way I wanted to teach this, but I didn't want to mess Mr. Cross class up, so I thought I would do this first in enrichment, kind of for his kids. So now you're going to be given a worksheet just to practice a little bit, but take your time. Use these notes. Follow the steps. There are a lot of steps, so follow these steps and just take your time. Okay, if you get through a few of them, you get through a few. If you know it and you get through the whole worksheet, then you do. But as long as you're working hard, that's all I'm going to be asking of you guys. Okay, I will see most of you tomorrow and some of you on Thursday. See ya.